Small World, the World of Informative Flashcards. Part 3. Flashcards and Fundamentals of Political Science. What are the three branches of government? 1. Legislative, make laws, refers to Congress, which is comprised of the House of Representatives and Senate. 2. Executive, implements the law, referring to the President, Vice President, Cabinet. 3. Judicial, interprets the law, referring to the Supreme Court and other courts as may create by law. What is principle of separation of powers? A system in a presidential form of government wherein there is a separation of powers, to wit: A. Power to legislate laws belongs to Congress. B. Power to execute laws belongs to the executive, and C. Power to interpret laws belongs to the judiciary. What is principle of checks and balances? The principle of checks and balances is a principle of government under which separate branches are empowered to prevent actions by other branches and are induced to share power. The principle of separation of powers. In presidential system, power of the government are divided into three classes: executive, legislative, and judicial. In parliamentary system, there is a fusion rather than a separation of the two classes: policy making and policy executing. Prime Minister is the head of government. In French presidential, parliamentary system variant of two types of government. The legislative power shall be vested in. The legislative power shall be vested in the Congress of the Philippines. Legislative power authority under the Constitution to make laws and subsequently, when the need arises, to alter and repeal them. Law refers to statutes, which are the written enactments of the legislature governing the relations of the people among themselves or between them and the government and its agencies. Scope of legislative power of Congress. 1. Plenary or general. A grant of legislative power means the grant of all legislative power for all purposes of civil government. 2. Legislative powers not expressly delegated deemed granted. The delegated power of our Congress is broader than the legislative power of American Congress. Classification of power in Congress. Primary function of Congress is to legislate. 1. General legislative power. Power to enact laws intended as rules of conduct to govern the relationship among individuals and the state. 2. Specific power. Powers which the Constitution expressly directs or authorizes Congress to exercise, like the power to choose who shall become president in case two or more have the highest or equal number of votes, to confirm certain appointment by the president. 3. Implied power. They are those essential or necessary to the effective exercise of the powers expressly granted, like the power to conduct inquiry and investigation in aid of legislation, to punish for contempt and to determine the rules of its proceedings. 4. Inherent power. Powers which are possessed and can be exercised by every government because they exist as an attribute of sovereignty. Powers on the President of the Philippines under the 1987 Constitution. Article 7, Section 1, of the 1987 Constitution vests executive power on the President of the Philippines. The President is the head of state and head of government, and functions as the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Philippines. Powers of the Supreme Court under the 1987 Constitution. Under Article 8, Section 5, 1987, the Supreme Court exercises the following powers. 1. Exercise jurisdiction over cases affecting ambassadors, other public ministers and consuls, and over petitions for certiorari, prohibition, mandamus, quo warranto, and habeas corpus. 2. Review, revise, reverse, modify, or affirm on appeal or certiorari, as the law or the rules of court may provide, final judgments and orders of lower courts in a. All cases in which the constitutionality or validity of any treaty, international or executive agreement, law, presidential decree, proclamation, order, instruction, ordinance, or regulation is in question. B. All cases involving the legality of any tax, impost, assessment, or toll, or any penalty imposed in relation thereto. C. All cases in which the jurisdiction of any lower court is an issue. D. All criminal cases in which the penalty imposed is reclusion, perpetua, or higher. E. All cases in which only an error or question of law is involved. 3. Assign temporarily judges of lower courts to other stations as public interest may require. Such temporary assignment shall not exceed 6 months without the consent of the judge concerned. 4. Order a change of venue or place of trial to avoid a miscarriage of justice. 5. Promulgate rules concerning the protection and enforcement of constitutional rights, pleading, practice, and procedure in all courts, the admission to the practice of law, the integrated bar, and legal assistance to the underprivileged. Such rules shall provide a simplified and inexpensive procedure for the speedy disposition of cases, shall be uniform for all courts of the same grade, and shall not diminish, increase, or modify substantive rights. Rules of procedure of special courts and quasi-judicial bodies shall remain effective unless disapproved by the Supreme Court. 6. Appoint all officials and employees of the judiciary in accordance with the Civil Service Law. Definition of power. Power, the ability to control or influence others. What are the types of power in politics? 1. Legitimate power is the formal authority given to a person within an organization. 2. Expert power, when one has an expertise in a subject or situation. 3. Reward power, the power of a manager to give some type of reward to an employee as a means to influence the employee to act. 4. Information power is when a person possesses needed or wanted information. 5. Coercive power is when someone in a position of power uses the threat of punishment to force subordinates to act. 6. Referent power is the ability of a leader or boss to influence an employee through respect, admiration, influence. What do you mean by influence in politics? Influence, political influence, is the power to make other people agree with your opinions or do what you want. What are the types of influence tactics? Tactic. Effectiveness. Rational persuasion. Moderate. Personal appeals. Moderate. Inspirational appeals. High. Consultation. High. What do you mean by authority in politics? Authority is the legitimate power of a person or group over other people. 3 types of authority according to Max Weber. The 3 types of authority are: 1. Traditional authority, authority derived from long-standing customs, beliefs, or traditions. 2. Rational legal authority, authority is legitimate because laws, rules, norms, and procedures are respected and obeyed. 3. Charismatic authority, one where a leader is able to create a group of followers due to his heroic and exemplary character. What do you mean by control in politics? Control is a power or mechanism to influence or direct people's behavior or course of events. Types of control. A. Preventive control is proactive in that they attempt to deter or prevent undesirable events from occurring. B. Corrective control is put in place when errors or irregularities have been detected. C. Detective control provides evidence that an error or irregularity has occurred. Define political ideology. Political ideology is a belief system that explains and justifies a preferred economic and governmental order for society. Types of political ideologies. 1. Anarchism, belief in the abolition of all government and the organization of society on a voluntary, cooperative basis. 2. Communism, a political theory derived from Karl Marx, advocating class war and leading to a society in which all property is publicly owned and each person works and is paid according to their abilities and needs. 3. Conservatism, commitment to traditional values and ideas with opposition to change or innovation. 4. Environmentalism, concern about and action aimed at protecting the environment. 5. Fascism, a government ruled by a dictator who controls the lives of the people. 6. Feminism and identity politics, sociopolitical movements and ideologies that aim to define and establish the political, economic, personal, and social equality of the sexes. 7. Liberalism is a political and moral philosophy based on the rights of the individual, liberty, consent of the governed and equality before the law. 8. Nationalism, an ideology that emphasizes loyalty, devotion, or allegiance to a nation or nation-state and holds that such obligations outweigh other individual or group interests. What are political institutions? Political institutions are the organizations in a government that create, enforce, and apply laws. They often mediate conflict, make governmental policy on the economy and social systems, and otherwise provide representation for the population. What are the types of political institutions? The following: democratic institution, monarchical institution, oligarchic institution, authoritarian institution, totalitarian institution. Democratic system or institution. Democracy or democratic institution is a political system in which citizens govern themselves either directly or indirectly. The term democracy comes from Greek and means rule of the people. Monarchy or monarchical system or institution. Monarchy or monarchical system is a political system in which power resides in a single family that rules from one generation to the next generation. Oligarchy, system or institution. The power in an oligarchy is held by a small, elite group. Authoritarian system or institution. Authoritarianism refers to political system in which an individual or a group of individuals holds power, restricts or prohibits popular participation in governance, and represses dissent. Totalitarian system or institution. Totalitarianism refers to political system that includes all the features of authoritarianism, but are even more repressive as they try to regulate and control all aspects of citizens' lives and fortunes. Authoritarianism and totalitarianism. Authoritarianism and totalitarianism are non-democratic political systems ruled by an individual or a group of individuals who are not freely elected by their populations, and who often exercise arbitrary power. What is a bureaucracy? The term bureaucracy literally means rule by desks or offices. Bureaucracy refers to a body of non-elected officials in the government. It is a system of government in which most of the important decisions are made by state officials rather than by elected representatives. Characteristics of bureaucracy. A. Hierarchy, a system or organization in which people or groups are ranked one above the other according to status or authority. B. Job specialization, a process that occurs when employees gain knowledge, education, and experience in a specific area of expertise. C. Division of labor. Division of labor is the separation of a work process into multiple tasks, with each task carried out by a different person or group of persons. D. Procedure, a particular way of accomplishing something. E. Recruitment on merit, means that all hires and promotions are based on an individual's qualifications for a position. F. Fairness, the element that protects legitimate expectations as well as legal rights.